Cooper, the floor will be yours for 6 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Minister LeBlanc, the Globe and Mail reported on May 23rd that the Prime Minister and the Cabinet are withholding an undisclosed number of documents from Madam Justice Hogue, the Commissioner of the Inquiry on Foreign Interference. And the Prime Minister's Department, the PCO, has confirmed that the documents turned over to her, that nearly 10% of those have been redacted. I underscore the documents that are being withheld are documents that Madam Justice Hogue has requested to fulfill her mandate. So what is the Prime Minister hiding from Madam Justice Hogue?
So, Mr. Chair, through you to Mr. Cooper, thank you for the question. The Prime Minister and the government are hiding nothing from the Hogue Commission. The redactions you referred to, and again, if colleagues want technical explanations, Madame Drouin, I'm sure can provide them, but my understanding is those redactions relate to solicitor-client privilege or cabinet confidence, and that is a fundamental principle of our Westminster parliamentary system. But in no way is the government working at counter purposes to the Commission. As I said, there is an active, ongoing conversation on exactly those documents that Mr. Cooper referred to.
Well, and through you, Mr. Chair, Minister, with respect to that active, ongoing conversation, the reason there's a conversation is because the government is obstructing the work of Madam Justice Hogue. The government is not turning over documents that she sees as relevant to fulfilling her mandate. And I would note that this committee received a letter from counsel to the Commissioner that indicated that with regards to the turning over of documents that Madam Justice Hogue has requested, quote, the interest of the Commission and the interest of the committee would appear to align. So again, I repeat, what is the Prime Minister hiding? And I'll further ask, would you provide the assurance that at the end of these discussions, Madam Justice Hogue will receive every document that she has requested on an unredacted basis?
So, Mr. Chair, our colleague repeated his question. I'll repeat the answer. The government and the Prime Minister are obviously hiding absolutely nothing. We happily set up the Commission with the work and the support of recognized political parties. Mr. Cooper's House Leader, who's a friend of mine, Andrew Scheer, and I worked. And in fact, the terms of reference that were accepted by every party represented at this table contemplated the release of the cabinet documents the Commission has, and also contemplated the protection of cabinet confidence and solicitor-client privilege. So none of this is a surprise.
Minister, I would submit that it is unacceptable for the Prime Minister to pick and choose which documents Madam Justice Hogue can see. Part of Madam Justice Hogue's mandate is to examine decisions made by the Prime Minister and the Cabinet in respect of foreign interference and what the Prime Minister did or failed to do. And in that regard, I would submit the Prime Minister is in a conflict. Again, if he has nothing to hide, then turn over the documents.
So again, our colleague repeats the same question for
I pointed out a clear conflict on the part of the Prime Minister, insofar as a major part of the mandate of Madam Justice Hogue is to examine what the Prime Minister did or failed to do.
So it won't surprise you that characterizing that as a clear conflict is not a submission that I would respect. I think it's interesting, Mr. Chair, there have been 44 federal commissions of inquiry since 1977. Only 5 of them have had access to cabinet confidence. 4 of them were under Liberal governments, actually headed by Prime Ministers called Trudeau. And the fifth one involved the decision.
Minister,
Mr. Chair, I was answering the question.
Mr. Cooper, I'm going to stop the clock so as to allow you an opportunity to have one more question. But we have invited the minister here to answer questions. I'm going to provide him the opportunity to finish. I'd ask you let him finish that answer in respect to your question, and then I'll start the clock. I'll start the clock again. Okay, but let's let him finish the question or the answer rather.
So, Mr. Chair, thank you. So, as I said, 4 commissions headed by Liberal governments where the Prime Minister was called Trudeau. The 5th one, these are 5 of 44 that have had access to cabinet confidence. So it tells you it's a very unusual process. And the fifth one was a decision made by the late
Will?
Brian Mulrooney with respect to cabinet confidence with in the Oliphant inquiry. So again, Mr. Chair, what's important is that the opposition parties agreed to those terms of reference. And of course, now they're manufacturing a lot of indignation with respect to this issue.
Well,
Okay, thanks. Thank you,
well,
Mr. Cooper. Just so I'm clear, I'm going to restart the clock now, okay? Go ahead, sir.
Well, in fact, the Prime Minister isn't just hiding documents from Madam Justice Hogue. The annual report of NSICOP, released on June 5th, states that the Prime Minister and the government withheld over 1,000 documents from NSICOP and that it is, quote, inappropriately using claims of cabinet confidences to avoid disclosing information. Isn't that exactly what is happening here? And I will repeat again, and it's a very simple yes or no question. Will the Prime Minister turn over every document that Madam Justice Hogue has requested whenever these discussions come to an end?
So, Mr. Chair, our colleague...
Yes or no?
Mr. Chair, our colleague raised NSICOP, or the National Security Intelligence Review Agency. It's Parliament itself in the legislation that protected cabinet confidence when those bodies were created. Neither of the acts that created those bodies created exceptions in terms of access to cabinet confidence. Exceptionally, the Prime Minister has authorized the disclosure of cabinet documents to those bodies. And so, Mr. Chair, I can tell our colleague that at the end of the process that is ongoing and is collaborative, and I hope that somebody will ask Madame Drouin, who has insight into those ongoing conversations with the Commission. It would be inappropriate for me, and it's not politicians that decide what
the
documents
answer
are reacted
appears
no.
to be no, since the Minister has refused, I think, at least 3 times to answer that question. And it's clear that the Prime Minister is conveniently withholding documents from Madam Justice Hogue because he does not want her to be able to fully scrutinize his failures to protect our sovereignty and democracy from Beijing's interference.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Thank you, Minister.
Just because Mr. Cooper
Sure.
keeps asserting the same thing does not make it true.
Okay. Thank you, Minister.